Farming is very emotional. And that's why when people start farming, they tell everybody, I'm going to start farming, I'm going to keep this in home, I'm going to start keeping livestock. And you realize that as they start, they have everything ready. The energy is high, the resources are ready, and everything is set. And so they start this farming enterprise and journey when they have a lot of energy, when they're very excited, and when there's nothing that is going to stop them. But there's a reason why these people never continue the same energy. Along the way, they quit. And in most cases, this happens for those who are doing remote farming. Remote farming has been faced with 5 main reasons for quitting. And the first one is overtrusting whoever is at the ground. Those who do remote farming, you will realize that it is either a relative that is taking care of the farm, or it's someone who is a worker that they've employed to manage the farm from home or that remote area that the farm is located. And so they overtrust these people to an extent that they give little attention. And when someone is overtrusted in farming, these people are more likely to make mistakes. There are many mistakes that are done by those who've been overtrusted, because when you overtrust someone, it means you've given them full power, you've given them the full authority, and therefore you are depending on them to make the critical decisions and to make the right decisions or wrong decisions, depending on how you think they're going to do it. For this reason, many farmers have quit farming because the person that have been overtrusted may sometimes not have the knowledge that is necessary in the journey of farming. For instance, if someone is not informed about or does not have all the information needed for a particular crop, like this one. I've trusted my relative or a friend to take care of my cassava farm. This cassava needs attention, it needs care at different stages of the growth. And if the person I've entrusted does not have all the information needed to take care of this cassava, they are going to make a mistake, because I'm going to trust whatever they tell me. They are going to tell you, now it's time for weeding, and you don't follow up on that. They do weeding late or early, and it leads to problems. And this problem are the reasons why remote farmers quit and run. Another reason why this remote farming becomes difficult is because of poor record keeping. When you've overtrusted someone to do this work, it means that this person could not be entitled or could not be forced or could not be followed to do what we're calling proper record keeping. You cannot run a farm without records. You need proper records on everything. And if you've overtrusted someone and you don't keep records well, then these people are going to fail. They are going to miss-tact. And as they miss-tact and they are not kept the record, because lack of records becomes easy for someone who is running the farm remotely to run or to make mistakes without you noticing. For instance, if you've made nursery, they'll tell you are supposed to make a nursery and you've entrusted them so much. They'll tell you, we've made a nursery and the crops are growing well. You'll realize that the crops have grown and they have reached the stage in which they're supposed to be transplanted from the nursery, but the transplanting has not been done, and the communication you are receiving at this time is that the crops are doing well, the crops are very healthy, and the crops are about to be transported in the next few days. But in the ground, that could be contrary to what is happening. If, for instance, you can see this nursery. This is a nursery that I established a few days ago. Yes, I wanted to test if I can really use remote farming to succeed in this nursery. And so for a week, I've tried to avoid this section of the farm where the nursery is, and asking my farm, the farm manager, how are the managus? These are managu. And then they'll say, oh, they are still doing well. We are waiting for the rain to come so that we can transplant them. And when I came today, I realized that, what? These things have overgrown. These things are so big, and the decision has not been made appropriately. If someone was doing remote farming and did not come to the farm, the next thing that is going to happen is that this situation is not going to be rescued. You are going to be told that those seedlings, something happened and they burned, and therefore we need to buy another one. The script will be so convincing that you will believe that the reason why they have not been transplanted is because the seeds fail, or perhaps because something else came and happened. But it is because of negligence, because you've overtrusted the person, and this negligence has led to losses, and now they start asking for money to buy new seeds. Meanwhile, as a farmer, you've lost time and you've lost track of what is happening there, and you don't know and you're not aware that you've started to make losses. And these losses are happening because of late decisions. You've just seen the kales the other side. The other section I showed you about nursery management. Yes, that sukuma wiki is very ready to be transplanted. But as a farm manager, I have realized that it has not started raining. So I have decided to pause and to wait. But while I was doing that, I was testing my farm manager with regard to the decision that's supposed to be done there. Now, because of poor records keeping, assuming you didn't keep the records, you will not even remember the exact date that these sukuma wiki were planted in the nursery. 21 days could be over, but they could tell you, no, we just did it 2 weeks ago, or some few days ago. Few days ago, you don't know how many days those days are, and for that reason, the decisions on transplanting is going to be made late. Agriculture is a timely enterprise, and if things are not going to be done at the right time, then they are going to lead to losses. So many of remote farmers fail because the person that is at the ground is making late decisions. Late decisions like transplanting them late decisions like spraying the crops against pests and diseases late, leading to losses, because the more the crops is infested by pests and diseases, the more losses the farmer is going to make. And as you make losses and you're not in the farm, the energy that you had before is going to start to deteriorate. As you receive information that are not accurate, as you realize that things are not running well, the next thing that you're going to start thinking is, how do I now stop? You want to stop when you gave this thing a lot of energy, when this thing had a lot of force, when you are so ready with the money and you placed your money in this farm. So, as a farm manager, the owner of the farm in this case, you need to avoid overtrusting the person that is on the ground, because when you've overtrusted them, they may make late decisions, and these late decisions are going to be very costly for you. Another reason why these farmers quit and leave farming is because of lack of an emotional connection when you are very far. I said farming is a very emotional enterprise. Your connection with these crops are very emotional. When I come to this farm and I realize that the crops that I place in the nursery are looking so weak and dry, it pains me as a farmer. I feel so bad about it. It makes me want to do something as drastic as now. But if you're not in the farm and you cannot see what is happening in the farm, you may think that everything is well because the communication you are receiving from the other end. Hello, how is the crop doing? The crops are doing well. They're improving. They are very healthy. But they're not healthy. And that person is afraid to tell you they're not healthy. And because they're afraid of telling you they're not healthy, or they're afraid you're going to say, but I send you money to do 1, 2, 3. They may be afraid of that, and because they're afraid of telling you, you are losing the emotional connection of the owner of the farm with the crops that are there. And when that emotional connection is lacking, it means that as things get worse, as things become bad, you are not aware, but you continue to trust the person, because the overconfidence that you've given and placed on this person give it or opens the wide room to continue making mistakes. Lastly, the reason why a person that is not in the farm could quit farming because while they are far away is because of the changes that happen within the environment. Like right now, it is very dry, and if you are not in the farm, you are likely to start believing that things are okay when they are not okay. The source of water that we've been using, for instance, in this farm is depleted. It was a pond, and that pond is now dry. The next place you're supposed to fetch this water is very far. If I was operating remotely, I'm going to start believing that a story is being made out of the dry situation. That the person that is working there have started to play games with me, because the other day they told me that the seeds we planted, something happened, I bought seeds. This time around now, they are going to tell me that, yes, the crops are doing well, but they're not being watered, and that leads to the many losses they're going to have. So if you're far away and you cannot have the big picture of what is happening in the ground, many mistakes are going to continue, and as the mistakes continue, the last option that a farmer has is to quit. Quitting is not an option when you've invested your time, you've invested resources, and that is where your mind and attention is. Therefore, if you're going to do remote farming, You must not overtrust the person that is on the ground. You must not waste resources with regard to overbelieving what they are telling you. And also, you have to be very keen with regard to the records that are being kept. Ensure that the records are up to date. You are calling for these records. You are following on the records because that is the picture you're going to have. Trust your records more than the word of the person that's at the ground. The records will speak it right and you'll make better decision. Next time we shall talk about what can be done and why these remote farmers quit farming and how we can help them to improve production despite being far. Until then, subscribe, watch, and comment. See you then and take care of yourself.